Hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. In this interview, we have Janet from the Kansas City area in Missouri, and she had a Bigfoot encounter near the Missouri River one day when she was driving in her vehicle. Janet knows without a doubt that this was a Sasquatch creature, and it's changed her life since this experience. The Bigfoot encounter did take place near Monkey Mountain, and there are a lot of Bigfoot reports from that area. If you have a Bigfoot encounter that you would like to share with me here on the channel, please contact me at sasquatchtheory@outlook.com, and if you guys can, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, with all that being said, let's dive into our next Bigfoot encounter from the state of Missouri here on Sasquatch Theory. All right, Janet, welcome to Sasquatch Theory. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for asking, Janet. Janet, if you would, tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from, and your Bigfoot encounters and experiences from the very beginning, please.
All right. It happened in June of 2015. I was walking down by the Missouri River here in Kansas City. There's a place called River Market, and there's a side street that goes off to the side that you can walk down and cut across another street called Front Street to go into Berkeley's Park to go down to the river. And I was walking down there to go down to the river to sit and enjoy the breeze. It was hot. It was in June, around 5 o'clock in the evening. I was walking along, just enjoying the view, and something just told me to look up. And when I looked up, I seen this bipedal, I guess you would call it a creature, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. It took 3 strides across the road that I was walking down and pushed some tree limbs out of the way and went through these trees and disappeared. The hair on it was probably reddish brown, almost a dark color. You could see stuff matted in its fur. It wasn't very long. The arms were longer, down close to its knees. The head was on its shoulders. It didn't have like a neck. And it kind of freaked me out. It stopped me dead in my tracks because I really didn't realize what I was looking at until later on that evening, and it bothered me. And it bothered me so bad that I couldn't sleep for 3 or 4 days. I decided to get online to see if I could find what I seen, to make sure I seen what I seen. And when I looked at pictures, I was like, yes, definitely, that has to be a Bigfoot that I seen. And it wasn't much of an encounter. It was just 3 strides across the road and he was gone. And I never did see where he went past that tree line. And it was a railroad track that he had to cross. And and after that, I don't know where he went. The only thing I could think of was it was a wooded area that he came out of, and he had to have stopped maybe to eat, to rest during that day, and was getting back out there, go towards the river to get away from the people that was down there in that area. So that's about all of my encounter.
All right, Janet, I appreciate you for sharing that with me. And that sounds like a really exciting encounter that you had there, and a lot of reports are of these creatures crossing the road, and I think it's whenever they step into our world that people see them, whether it's them crossing the road or someone seeing them off a trail or a power line strip, whatever it may be. It's really difficult just to walk out in the woods and find these things. Typically, they mess up and people see them. But I find it interesting that this creature was by the river and the railroad tracks. Were those railroad tracks active, or are they old and unused anymore?
They're active.
Okay.
And there's a power line that runs down through there by the railroad track as well. So I don't know if he didn't seem like he was traveling by the railroad or the power line, but he was cutting across them, like he was going towards the river just as fast as he could book it.
Yeah, these roadside encounters are fascinating. And you said he was coming out of timber. What direction was he going in? Was he heading towards like farmland or deeper woods, towards the river?
He was going towards the river. He was headed north, um, because the river is north from that street that I was walking down. And he had to go to it. He had to go through Berkeley's Park. There is some trees down there at Berkeley's Park, but it's not a thick tree line. It's basically a row of trees for shade, and that's it. And then there's a sidewalk right next to the river where everybody walks. It's kind of like a park where everybody walks to get exercise, and it is where they have a lot of events down there. And that's the only thing I could think of was he was trying to get in that water and go, and maybe float down the river until he found a more secluded place to get out of, because it's a pretty open area down here in Berkeley's Park.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had one of my encounters in 2019, and it was in June. And it seems like these creatures always head towards the water whenever they get caught, or they're coming from that direction. So I do believe they follow the waterways, and that's possibly what this creature was doing. I
Well,
think.
I don't know if he's seen me,
Uh-huh.
but he could have, um, before I noticed him, and maybe that's the reason why he picked up his feet and got to moving so quick. Because I guess he seemed to think that I done spotted him. So
Mhm.
it's funny how they know those things, you know,
Yeah.
how intelligent these creatures really are.
Did the creature ever look over at you?
No, and not that I know of, unless he happened to look at me before I looked up and seen him. That's the only thing I can think of that he might have seen me then, but he was more worried about getting out of that area and getting towards that water than he was anything else.
Yeah. He was he had a mission. That's what it sounds like. He was focused, fixated on what he was doing, and he was going to get it done.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
what color did you say this creature was?
He was a reddish brown, almost a dark brown. Closer to the skin of him was darker, and the tips of it was more of a reddish brown from where like the sun had bleached its fur out, and it was probably 3 inches long, and you could see the debris, the leaves and the twigs in its hair. I probably was maybe 75, 50 yards away from it, and that was about as close as I wanted to get with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Did the hair look matted or was it pretty clean looking?
it was matted. Like I said, it had leaves and twigs in its hair, like it just come out of the woods and was laying on the ground.
Yeah, maybe it got up from a nap and it was feeding time. He was thirsty.
Yeah, could have been very well. Um, some people, my family believes me, um, but when I told other people, they kind of looked at me like, "Well, you're kind of crazy," and I'm like, "No, I know what I saw." And like I said, I couldn't sleep for several days after that.
Yeah,
And
it'll really blow your mind, and whenever you see one of these things, that's all you think about, and it's hard to come to terms with what you encountered, but you're going to get flack from other people. You know, they'll say, "Oh, that was a bear. You saw a homeless person." But when you see one of these things, you know without a doubt what it was, and there's nothing that's ever going to change that.
it was about 7.5, 8 foot tall, so I knew it wasn't no human.
Yeah. Did it have a conical shaped head or was it round?
It was round.
Okay.
Sorry, my kid.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like there were other ones around?
I don't think there was anything around at the time. Because all I seen was one, and that was enough. He could have very been well traveling with one of them, another one, but I think he was alone.
Yeah. Makes me wonder if they were crossing the road and you just happened to catch the one.
Could have very well been, could have been a male and a female or two males. But like I said, all I seen was one.
Yeah. And you said this was around 5 o'clock?
Yes, it was between 5 and 6 o'clock that evening. And I bet the temperature was like 93, 94 at that time. So it was really hot that evening for being June.
Yeah, it's pretty hot that time of year. And typically it starts cooling down right around 5 o'clock. Still warm during that time of year, but it's it starts getting really hot by like 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then once you get to 5, it starts tapering down a little bit. So maybe he found the opportunity to start moving around, and it was feeding time.
Yeah, might have been going down there to the river to get some fish.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think these creatures are? Where do you think they came from?
Personally, I think Nephilim. I think they are. I think they're flesh and blood. I think they can go either way. I think they can probably um, be translucent when need to be. Um, Transparent, I mean. And but when they want to be flesh and blood, I think they're flesh and blood. I I don't believe in. I mean, I believe in aliens, but I don't know what the connection is with them. I mean, I didn't see no lights or UFOs the night before or anything like that. Even in the previous or the days after. So
Yeah.
the
And
Native Americans believed in them, um, which I have Apache and Blackfoot Native American heritage in me. So I don't know if that has anything to do with us seeing them as much. It seems like a lot of people that have Native American heritage seems to see these people a little bit more than most people.
yeah. And the location that this encounter happened in, um, I don't know if you want to mention it exactly. You told me off air, but I've taken reports from that same area, and there seems to be a lot of experiences, and I don't know. It's hard to say if there's something going on there.
It was down off of First Street, and that was east of River Market. Right down that River Market was one of the first boat docks
Hmm.
that was put there when Kansas City was being built. Um, that's where Kansas City started, was right there off of the river, right where that River Market is.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of bloodshed on that land. I'm sure there's Native American burial plots down there as well. A lot of people go missing um, down in that area when they go for a walk down there at that river. Um, it's not a real good place for just a single person to be roaming around, especially at night. Um, I've always walked with somebody down there at night.
Yeah. And I've taken a similar report whenever I first started the channel. Did we talk before?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't have me record it. I ended up being nervous because it's not something that I talk about every day. So
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand completely. And I'm glad that you took time to think about it and you decided to reach back out to me.
I am too. I
Yeah.
need to get it off my chest and get it reported so people know that to be to be on the lookout for these things.
Yeah. Typically, people think, oh, if these things do exist in Missouri, they're going to be deep in the Ozarks, maybe in the Mark Twain National Forest. But I take a lot of reports from St. Louis County, from Kansas City, the Springfield area, by Columbia and Jefferson City. So these things are all over the place.
Yeah, I lived in Jefferson City for a short time. Um, I had a lot of friends out in the um, that lived out in the country of Jeff City, and I had a friend that I used to go out and see. He lived in a camper,
Mhm.
and it didn't matter what time of day it was out there. There was never any birds. There was never any insects. Um, it was just dead quiet all the time around his camper, and I did not care about that. Care about that, so I stayed away from his camper as much. I stopped and pick him up and take him to work, and then drop him off, and then I'd leave because I just felt so eerie out there where he was at.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly feel like there's a lot more people with encounters that don't want to talk about it with anyone, especially like a podcast or a TV show, than people that have actually reported their eye sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your future plans with this? What are you going to do to deal with this better?
Well, I'm going to start my own little research and go from there and take it day by day and learn other people's stories and see if I can learn anything. I'm just, I like to learn new things. So it'd be interesting what I come up with during this research and what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of gear are you going to take out there?
I've got a cam recorder with 32 gigabytes coming. Um, I've got night vision ordered with a gigabyte uh, card
Hmm.
coming. Power bank, all the little camping gear, and I have a friend that he's going to go with me out there. He'll be packing the gun um, that he owns just for feral people, because I do believe that there's a lot of feral people out here in this world, and they like to live in them woods and walk the trails and see what I can discover.
Yeah, that's the best place to start. And I'm glad you mentioned the camcorder. If you talk to a lot of researchers, they'll tell you bring an audio recorder and bring some thermal, which that's really good. it's good to have that if you can afford it. But a camcorder, that's the best way to go, just because a cell phone camera isn't going to do justice. A GoPro isn't going to do anything for you unless it's just right up, like within feet of you. But a camcorder, you can zoom in. It has a good audio recorder, a good mic on it, and it's just easy to use. I mean, they're pretty small nowadays, and it's like the size of like a soda can. So I
Yeah,
think that's the best way to go because you got audio and video with it. And if you
yeah,
record these things on audio, no one's going to believe that that would not came from a Bigfoot just because a person could have done it. But like if you see this thing again, you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt if you only get audio of it, and you could have easily filmed it with a camera. So I'm glad you mentioned that, and that's the best way to go.
yeah. I've got a recorder, one of them Olympus 720s. I've
Yeah.
got it ordered off of eBay. It should be coming any day.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
one because it has the self timer on there. It will turn on automatically and shut off on its own, and you can just leave it
yeah,
out in the field.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I plan on doing.
Well, good deal. And when you get out there, look for tree structures, the glyphs, anything that looks unusual. Definitely look for tracks and just listen. Just I don't know, be focused on the woods with all the little noises because a lot of times you may think it's like a bird or a squirrel out there rustling in the leaves, but you never know if it's one of these things sneaking up on you. And you just have to be aware of that because they're really sneaky.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you encounter anything, definitely contact me and let me know. And I don't know, I'll try to put together like a camping trip sometime in the future, maybe like a conference. And if that does happen, I'll certainly contact you and let you know.
All right, that'll work because I think I don't know how many other people are going to go out there. They're going to wait till it gets a little bit cooler so they don't have to deal with the bugs.
Yeah, it's
Bugs
pretty
don't
brutal
bother
out there.
me. Yeah, bugs don't bother me too much. I've been out in the country all my life, so um, I've been out in the woods. I've always went fishing and hiking, and so bugs don't bother me.
Yeah. It's just something you have to deal with. For me, it's a combination of everything. Whenever you're out there, the brutal heat, the humidity, getting spider webs and spiders in your face. At the same time, there's mosquitoes swarming around you. And as you're walking through the grass and the foliage, you're picking up all these sea ticks. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's brutal.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But that's Missouri for you. Just use some bug spray and be aware of your surroundings, and you should be all right.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was drilled in the head about being um, with the surroundings. My dad taught us that growing up, always to pay attention to our surroundings. It was just a vital instinct that he wanted us to know, being girls. You know, my sister, like I told you, my sister had an encounter. We were driving to go see my grandparents in Kansas, and I was little at the time. I didn't even know she had seen one, and it was floating in the Missouri River, and she never told nobody. She didn't know what it was, but she seen it in the river. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I've heard encounters personally of people seeing these things in the water and they swim like gators or they'll just shoot up out of the water. And I think they're able to use the terrain to their advantage, and they're certainly masters of the woods.
that they are, they have to if they want to stay away from people, you
Yeah.
know. And almost every national forest place we've got here in the United States is pretty much shut off to, I mean, the real wooded areas are all fenced in because they've had sightings and the government's trying to keep them out of there. And so I know the government knows that they exist.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. All the best
But they don't want to
places
scare somebody.
where there's been eye sightings, it's like illegal to use a drone. You're not allowed to film, and you can't be in there past 10. There's just so many rules, and it's like, I wonder why they have all these rules placed in the areas where people have seen Sasquatch. It has to be for that reason and deeper things that we don't know about or understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And then military bases out there, they've seen them. So a
Yeah.
lot more people in the military have come out and talked about these things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've noticed there's a lot of activity around military bases, and a lot of military bases like to build their forts around national forests, so it's a perfect place for them.
Hmm. They know what's going on, and that's probably what they're doing is keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, yeah, very well could be. Okay. Do you have any more experiences that you'd like to share with me?
No, that's it so far. And like I said, when I get out there and I do some investigation, if I find interesting things, I'll make sure I upload it and send it your way on email.
Okay. Yeah, I would appreciate that. And I want to thank you for being a guest today on the show and taking the time to reach out to me and share your encounter with everyone here on Sasquatch Theory, and that truly means a lot to me.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Janet, and you have an excellent day, my friend.
All right, you too, Miguel.
All right. Bye.
All right.
All right, Janet, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot encounter here on Sasquatch Theory. And I can only imagine what you felt like when you laid eyes on this creature. I'm sure it terrified you and you were beside yourself. Whenever I had my first Bigfoot encounter and I knew without a doubt that it was a Sasquatch, I didn't know what to think. My mind was blank whenever I was looking at the creature, and I was just amazed because my brain could not find a place to file the encounter. I was just like, what am I looking at? What is this? And at the same time, I knew without a doubt it was a Sasquatch because there could be nothing else in the forest that is that big. But yeah, it'll really change you, and it will change your view on the forest and how you look at the world around you. Some people will never step into the woods again and refuse to talk about it, and others, that's all they will talk about, and they want to go to the woods all the time to search for more answers. In this case, it sounds like Janet is willing to go back out to the forest to see if she can find anything else, and she said that she purchased some equipment, so hopefully she has another sighting or she finds some evidence. The encounter did take place near the Missouri River, and these things follow the waterways. You hear researchers talk about that all the time, and it seems like these things like to be around waterways. Food, water, and cover seems to be the key when looking for Sasquatch, but at the same time, there is food, water, and cover all over the place, so it's really hard to say. If you guys enjoyed today's interview, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have a Bigfoot or cryptid encounter that you would like to share with me here on the show, please contact me at sasquatchtheory@outlook.com. I appreciate everyone for listening today. Be safe out there in the woods, and take care, everyone.